Welcome back and well done on making it this far. So far we have created our campaign, we have created our ad set, and now it's time to move on to the ad itself. We are going to do the design of the ad. That is, we're going to design how the ad is going to be looking to our audience. Let's dive in. So starting off, you should have the same screen as me right now, meaning we are at the ad level. If there is anything you're worried about or thinking about, you can just click on any of these and you're going to end up right back at the ad set and at the section you are looking for, right? But now we have moved on from budget and schedule and we're going to design the ad itself. And we're going to, as always, start from the very top and then move through, right? So the first thing that we have here is the ad name. Now the name itself, we are going to want to choose a name that we can recognize and that we can test from, right? So if we're going to have any specific images or any specific type of ad format on this ad, we want to write that in here in the ad name so that we can recognize this specific and this unique ad, and then perhaps we can split test it later on. Now we're going to update the ad name as we move on and we actually choose our ad name. Now we're going to update our ad name as we move through and actually make some decisions on our ad itself, right? So moving down, because we're not going to go through quick creation yet, we're going to look at that later. Going down, we have identity, and identity is very easy. This is the reason that we created our Facebook page, right? Because when we have a Facebook page, we can now create ads. So it's asking us which Facebook page we want to use. If you have multiple full Facebook pages, you can just click on this one and then you can go ahead and choose your Facebook page. If you want to use a completely brand new one, you can click here, but we already went through this in the beginning, right? So we already have our Facebook page. Now, should we choose to use any form of Instagram ads, such as putting it on the Instagram feed or maybe in Instagram stories, etc., we would need an Instagram account, right? So that means we would have to have chosen the Instagram placement when we did the placements in the ad set, and we would also need then to add in our Instagram account. Right now we haven't added in any Instagram account. We're going to go through that stuff later on, and I'll show you how to make Instagram's ads and all of that good stuff. But for now, we're not going to touch this, and we're going to make sure that we have the correct Facebook page set here. And we have R&J deals, so that's perfect. All right. So going down, we have three different options here. We have to create ad, which is what we're about to do. We're going to create a completely new ad and do the design itself. But we can also use an existing post, meaning that let's say that you have already done a nice post on the news feed on your Facebook page that you created. Well, what you could do is that you could click in here and use that post as the design for your ad itself, right? So this is very handy if you are creating posts that looks like or works as ads. You can just click in here and then use those posts and turn them into ads. Very handy feature if you do that. Now, another option that we have to the right here is the Use Creative Hub Mockup. So what this is basically we have a creative hub where we can design multiple ads, right? We can have multiple designs of our ads, and if we are running an agency, for example, we might want to show those different options of ad designs to our clients and say, hey, what do you think of this? Which one do you prefer? So this is a way to not only save down all of your different ad designs, but also if you have clients or if you have a team that you're working with, you can share the designs that you have created before you use them, before you publish them, and also allow others to edit them as well. Now, there are even some people who create really great ad designs and they sell them as Creative Hub mockups, right? So we are going to go through this later in the course when you're going to learn how to create different types of ads. You're also going to learn how to save down different ad designs. So we're not going to learn too much at once here, so we're going to leave this for now. We are going to move through in a straight line and continue creating our ad, all right? So scrolling down, we're going to choose our format. So choose how you'd like to structure your ad. Well, this is basically the format, how your ad is going to be presented itself. Now, the big option is down here, but before we move down there, we have dynamic formats and creative. What that is basically using more options. So if I click on see how here, you can see that it says you provide a product set, ad text and description options. We will automatically create different versions of your ad with different formats. That's very interesting, right? So instead of having just one ad design, you can have multiple ad designs that Facebook is going to optimize and run at random to see which one is getting the best results. And as you can see, people will see the version of your ad we think they're most likely to respond to. So the great part with this is that we're getting Facebook's help, right? They're using their algorithms to see which one is working the best for you. The problem is down here. It says, when viewing results, you will see the combined performance of your ad versions. That is why we don't use this option, because when we create an ad design, we want to see the results for that specific ad design, because then we know what works, right? And then we can do more tests where we change just one thing and see what works better. And over time, you're going to have a better and better and better and better ad. However, if you are using this, if you're using the dynamic formats and creative here, well, you have no idea what's working. You're not getting the data that you need. So I don't recommend using this, because they aggregate all of the data and put it into a clump like this. So you don't know which kind of description works really well. You don't know what kind of image that works really well. That is why we're going to avoid and not use this one. It's much better instead that we create multiple ad designs and just use those ad designs ourselves, because they're still gonna run from the same budget anyway. More about that later on. All right? So we are not going to use the dynamic formats and creative. Can you use it with great benefit? Of course, you can use all of these options with great benefit, but it's not recommended because we're not getting the data we need. So moving down, this is the big question right now. So we have different formats, and of course the formats are also going to depend a little bit on what kind of campaign mission that you have. And right now we have traffic. So for traffic, we have the option between carousel, single image or video, which also has a slideshow, or collection. So your question is, of course, what is the difference between these different formats? Well, that's a fantastic question, and that's why I'm here. Now, there is something that they have that is known as the Facebook Ads Guide. The Facebook Ads Guide is fantastic. I'm going to put this in the resources because they always update this if they do any updates to the formats or to the ad designs themselves. So whatever question you have or whatever specifics you're looking at, for example, what should be the ratio for my ad, or what is the max file size, or what are the ads and what do they look like, you can scroll down here and you can just click on any of these and see exactly what it is and see how they look like. So that's fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through them quickly so you understand what they are. First up, we have carousel, right? So in order to understand carousel, I've already opened it up from the ads guide here. And it looks like this. Now, a carousel has a minimum number of 2 cards and a maximum number of 10. If we look to the right, we can see here the way that they look in the newsfeed. So a carousel is very interactive. It means you can use multiple cards just the way that we saw here, and you can scroll through the cards, right? It's a really fantastic way if you have multiple options or multiple products that you want to show. And if you're also interested in the way that they look somewhere else, you could choose, for example, what do they look like in the Facebook right column. So then you choose your ad placement Facebook right column and you can see, oh, this is what it looks like there. What about in Facebook stories? Well, then you choose Facebook stories. This is going to load and then you can see what they look like there, right? So this is very handy for you to understand what they are and what they look like. Now remember, we're actually going to use the Facebook feed. So in order to get a direct understanding, we see this is what they're going to look like. They're very interactive because you can scroll through them. Perfect. Now, important information is, for example, here, recommended resolution 1008 times 1008. You need to know this because you're going to be designing and using the pictures yourself in most of the cases. So you need to know what the resolution to design in. And it's also good to know, for example, that the maximum file size is 30 megabytes, so you can't use raw files here, for example. So all of the information that you need is right here. You can even scroll down and see what the supported objectives are. You can see that it exists in traffic, app installs, reach, brand awareness, etc. And also what call to actions that apply. And we're going to go through what that is in just a second. So the carousel gives you multiple options and it's interactive. You can scroll through them yourself. So going back, we also have single image or video. And single image, we can start off with that one, is exactly the way it sounds like. You just have a single image that pops up like this. It's one of the most classical of all Facebook ads. You can see that the file types supported are JPG and PNG, right? And the image ratio you can see here as well. And images that consist of more than 20% text may experience a reduced delivery. I've even seen Facebook deny your ad because it has too much text. So just be aware of that, right? And also when they say consists of more than 20% text may experience reduced delivery. That is usually because Facebook decides to not deliver it to quite as many. Like they put it down in the hierarchy. This is just good information to know. So all of the information is here, and once again, if you want to see what it looks like in the Instagram feed, for example, you click on the Instagram feed, you're going to get the results and see what a single image looked like. You can scroll down, see the supported objectives and call to action. All right, and then of course we also have video, and it's going to look like this. So as you can see, there are different alternatives. Now, there's also a different one here that is called a slideshow, right? A slideshow with multiple images. So your question might be, because if we go back to carousel, this one has multiple images. What is the difference? Well, for a slideshow, the difference is that you're going to have a still picture, and it's going to change to another still picture, and it's going to change to another still picture. So you're only using single images here. It's just that you're using multiple single images, but only one at a time. For a carousel, they all are interactive. A slideshow is not. The benefit with that is that they use up towards 5 times less data than, for example, a carousel or a video might. So if you're advertising to elderly people with really slow phones or slow internet connection, slideshows are going to be much better than a video or a carousel. Or if you're maybe advertising in Southeast Asia, maybe in Indonesia or Cambodia or Laos, these kind of places that generally have a slower internet connection, you're going to want to adapt to that and use a slideshow rather than a video or a carousel. Just important information to know, all right? And finally, we have collection. And collection is very interesting because this is one of the preferences that you want to use when you are trying to sell a product a lot of the time. And we're going to go through this later on as its own specific product type. These are very powerful. There's a lot of fun stuff we're going to go through, slightly more advanced stuff later on in the course. So a collection looks like this, right? You can see a video here that is displaying the products. You get to see different options of products right down here below. So there's a lot of different interesting options. But when it comes to collection specifically, it says here, collection is an ad format that makes it easier for people to discover, browse, and purchase products and services from their mobile device in a visual and immersive way. So collection is great when you're selling products, especially multiple products and services. We are going to go through this later in the course. So now you have a pretty good idea what the different formats are, right? We have carousel that's interactive, we have multiple options. We have single image or video is going to be one image or one video or a slideshow showing them one at a time. And then we have collection, which is slightly different than carousel, but it's also displaying multiple things, usually multiple products or services, which carousels sometimes also do, but they are not limited to that. They can also be different offers, right? So depending here, what you choose is going to be completely dependent on how you design what you're about to advertise for, and you're going to want to do different ad sets to test out which one works the best, right? So for this ad that we're creating here, the design, we're going to use a single image. I'm going to select this one here because a single image is usually the easiest way to get started. I'm not going to say the best way because they're all best depending on what you're advertising, but it's great to start with because it's very easy. And also when you understand how to do a single image, you can also do a carousel because that is just adding in multiple images, multiple cards. Single image is just one card, right? And then we're going to go through collection later on in the course. So we're going to select single image or video here. I recommend that you do the same, and then you want to name this ad set differently. So you might want to call this, for example, image, since we're going to be using an image. And then I'm going to put a dash, and then we're going to put some information here depending on what sort of image and what we're going to be designing with and for, right? So with that said and with that done, let's move on to the next lecture where we're going to be talking about adding an instant experience. See you in the next lecture.